I'm Dr. David Warren. I'm 60 years old now, and after more than 3 decades of working with patients over 50, I've realized something incredibly important, something almost no one ever tells you. Your strength after 60 doesn't start in the gym. It starts with your very first meal of the day. I want you to picture a familiar morning routine. You wake up, step out of bed, your legs feel a little stiff, your back feels a bit heavy. You walk into the kitchen, make a cup of coffee, grab a piece of toast or a quick bowl of oatmeal, and think, that's good enough. But you know what? So many of my patients, people who felt like their bodies were going downhill fast, have looked me in the eye and said, Doctor, I had no idea breakfast could make such a difference in my body. The truth is, after age 60, our muscles become a lot more picky. They don't respond to small amounts of protein the way they used to. Your muscles need a strong signal to flip that build and repair switch, and that signal comes from 25-30 grams of protein with leucine right at breakfast. I often explain it like this. Every morning, your muscles are like a switch that's turned off. Give them enough protein and enough leucine, and the whole system lights up, shifting from breaking down to building up. But if you skip it or nibble on something light, you've unintentionally allowed your body to spend half the day in a state of slow decline. One of my patients, Helen, she's 67, once told me she couldn't understand why she felt weaker, even though she thought she was eating fine. It wasn't until she switched to a high-protein breakfast, eggs, Greek yogurt, a little whey added in, that she finally felt the difference. Her steps felt steadier, climbing the stairs felt easier, and she said her whole body felt like it had woken up after years of being sluggish. And that's exactly what I want for you, too. There's something I often tell my patients when we talk about inflammation in the body. Many of them look at me surprised and say, "But doctor, I don't feel much pain. How could I be dealing with inflammation?" The truth is, after 60, inflammation doesn't always show up as pain. Sometimes it shows up as fatigue, weakness, slower steps, or that feeling of, my body just isn't cooperating today. It's like a quiet drizzle, small, constant, and hard to notice, falling on your muscles every single day. Let me give you a picture. Imagine trying to rebuild a house while it's raining. Not a heavy storm, just enough drizzle to slow the workers down. That's exactly what happens inside your muscles. Even if you eat enough protein, if your body's inflamed, the construction crew simply can't work at full speed. I had a patient named Robert, 72 years old. He was eating reasonably well, but always felt like his muscles weren't responding. After talking with him, I realized he wasn't eating any anti-inflammatory foods in the morning. So we made a small change. A little salmon for breakfast a few days a week, some chia seeds added to his yogurt, and a morning smoothie with blueberries and a bit of fresh ginger. 3 weeks later, he walked into my office and said, "Doctor, my joints feel lighter, and I can get up from my chair so much easier." That's not magic. That's physiology. Omega-3s calm the immune system. Berries bring antioxidants that protect muscle fibers. Turmeric and ginger act like quiet workers clearing the path for healing. If protein is the fuel, then lowering inflammation is the weather that allows the building process to happen smoothly. Sometimes, to get stronger, we don't need to push harder. We just need to remove the obstacles our body is quietly fighting every day. There's something I always remind my patients. Your body can't absorb nutrients well if it wakes up dehydrated. And after a full night of sleep, that's exactly what happens. I often tell them, your body in the morning is like a garden that hasn't seen water all night. It sounds simple, but it's true. During those 7 or 8 hours of sleep, you're not drinking water, you're not taking in electrolytes, and your body is still working, breathing, repairing tissues, balancing temperature, filtering blood. By morning, your muscles, your blood, Even your cells are a little dry, a little sluggish. When patients come to me and say, "Doctor, I'm eating more protein, but I still don't feel stronger," I always ask them one question first. Are you hydrated before breakfast? I remember a patient named Linda, 65 years old. Every morning she woke up tired, heavy, and unfocused. When I asked about her routine, she said, "I get up and drink coffee right away." A routine almost every American can relate to. We made a tiny adjustment. Before her coffee, she drank a glass of warm water with a squeeze of lemon and a pinch of minerals. That's it. 2 weeks later, she told me, "I don't know why, doctor, but I feel more awake, and my body just feels better in the morning." Here's the reason. Water thins the blood just enough so amino acids can travel more freely. A little electrolyte helps muscles contract and relax smoothly. Hydration is like opening the highway so nutrients can move where they're needed. It's not a miracle. It's simply giving your body the foundation it needs before you ask it to build anything. So tomorrow morning, before you take that first sip of coffee, try giving your body what it's quietly been needing all night. Hydration. Sometimes the smallest habits create the biggest shift. One thing I tell every patient over 60 is this: you're not just eating for hunger, you're eating to direct your hormones. And in the morning, the hormone that matters most is insulin. Most of us grew up with the classic American breakfast: toast, cereal, fruit juice, maybe a healthy muffin. But here's the truth. All of those foods make your insulin spike within minutes. And once insulin spikes, your body shuts down fat burning and your muscles stop receiving the nutrients they need. I remember one of my patients, Samuel, 68 years old. He looked at me and said, "Doctor, I eat a healthy breakfast, whole grain toast and orange juice, but I still gain belly fat." I smiled and told him, "Your breakfast isn't unhealthy. It's just not working with your biology anymore. When you switch to a high-protein, low-sugar breakfast, eggs, Greek yogurt, berries, avocado, or a protein shake, everything changes. Your blood sugar stabilizes, your insulin calms down, your muscles open up and actually receive nutrients, and your energy becomes steady and clean, without the mid-morning crash or sugar cravings." I often describe it like this. Your muscles in the morning are like a dry sponge. They're ready to absorb. But if you pour syrupy, sugary water on that sponge, it gets heavy, sticky, and loses its ability to soak anything up. If instead you pour clean, steady fuel, protein, healthy fats, fiber, your muscles absorb deeply and efficiently. That's the difference between a high-insulin breakfast and a muscle-building breakfast. And the beautiful part is, you get to decide which one you choose every single morning. There's something I repeat to my patients all the time, and maybe you need to hear it too. Protein can enter your body, but movement decides where it goes. I once had a patient named Mark, 71 years old. He ate very well, high-protein breakfasts, supplements, the whole thing. But one day he told me, "Doctor, I don't feel any stronger. My legs still feel weak." So I sat with him and asked, "Mark, what do you usually do after breakfast?" He laughed a little and said, "Well, I sit down and read the newspaper." And that's when I realized the one missing piece. I explained to him that protein is like bricks. But unless the construction crew, your muscles, receives a signal from movement, those bricks just sit there unused. You don't need intense workouts or heavy weights. Just 10-15 minutes of simple movement after breakfast is enough. Standing up and sitting back down a few times, walking up the stairs, a short morning walk, or a few resistance band exercises. 3 weeks later, Mark came back with a big smile and said, "I didn't know 10 minutes could change so much. I get up from my chair easier, and stairs don't scare me anymore." Your body after 60 is like an older neighborhood. Everything gets stronger, brighter, and sturdier when the workers show up daily, even for a short time. You don't need to push harder. You don't need to suffer at the gym. You just need to give your body a reason, a signal, for where to send the nutrients you're feeding it. And when you do, the results show up faster than you might expect. Not in months, sometimes in just days. Your steps feel lighter, your balance steadier, and your confidence deeper. Strength doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from connecting the two things your body needs most, fuel and movement. Many patients come to me and say, "Doctor, I'm eating well, I'm moving more, but my legs still get tired so quickly. Why?" And I always tell them a truth that most people never hear. Your leg strength isn't just about muscle size. It's about the tiny power plants inside your muscles, called mitochondria. I want you to imagine this. Inside every muscle fiber, you have thousands of these little engines. They create ATP, the energy that lets you stand up, walk across the room, or climb a flight of stairs. But after 60, these engines begin to slow down. Some get old. Some shut down completely. And that's when your legs start to feel heavy, or like you're walking through mud. I remember a patient named Maria, 70 years old. She told me she sometimes had to stop halfway to her car just to rest, not because of pain, but because her legs simply ran out of energy. So we changed her breakfast just a little. We added blueberries, a handful of pomegranate seeds, a bit of green tea in her morning smoothie, a small dose of CoQ10, and kept her high-protein breakfast exactly as before. 4 weeks later, she came back glowing. She said, "Doctor, it feels like someone plugged my legs back in. I can walk longer without needing a break." There was no miracle. Just science, very simple, very human science. Polyphenols from dark-colored fruits help the body build new mitochondria. CoQ10 helps those mitochondria burn fat efficiently. And morning protein pushes your muscles to create more energy factories to keep up. When your mitochondria get stronger, your legs don't just get stronger. They get more enduring, more stable, more alive. You deserve to feel that kind of strength. Every single day. There's something many people forget after they turn 60. Your body runs on a clock, a quiet, intelligent, incredibly precise clock, and it needs you to live in sync with it. I often ask my patients, "What time do you usually eat breakfast?" Most of them say, "Oh, I just drink coffee," or "I don't eat until lunchtime." Sound familiar? But when you skip breakfast or delay your first real meal until noon, you miss the window when your body's most ready to build muscle, burn fat, and stabilize blood sugar. Think of your circadian rhythm like sunlight. Morning light is bright and full of energy. It wakes up every system in your body. Evening light is soft and quiet. Your body wants to wind down, not digest a heavy meal. I remember a patient named Franklin, 74 years old. He ate very little in the morning, but ate a big dinner every night. He told me he didn't understand why he felt heavy when he woke up, why he slept poorly, or why his legs felt weak. I explained that in the evening. His body is less sensitive to insulin. Eating a large, carb-heavy dinner at that time is like pouring gas into a car after you've already turned the engine off. It doesn't create power. It just sits there. We made one simple change. Shift the biggest meal to breakfast, a protein-rich morning, a lighter, simpler dinner. A few weeks later, he came back and said, "Doctor, I had no idea timing mattered this much. I sleep better, and my legs feel lighter in the morning." You see, you don't need to eat more. You just need to eat at the right time. And the right time, the golden window, is within 1 to 2 hours after you wake up. Your body has been waiting all night for that signal. There's something most people don't realize. You can eat all the right food, but if your digestion isn't working well, your body still won't get what it needs. I often tell my patients that the stomach after 60 is like an old stove. It still works, but the flame is weaker, slower, and sometimes it just doesn't cook things all the way. And protein, the very nutrient your muscles need the most, requires the strongest digestive fire. One of my patients, Carol, 69 years old, once told me, "Doctor, I'm eating exactly the way you told me, but I still feel weak and my stomach feels heavy." When I looked deeper, I realized she was eating quickly, swallowing large bites, and hardly eating any fermented foods. Her stomach didn't have enough acid to break down protein, and her gut didn't have enough enzymes to absorb amino acids. So we started with tiny, gentle changes. Adding a little Greek yogurt in the morning, slowing down and chewing more, and including fermented foods here and there, kefir, mild kimchi, or tempeh. 4 weeks later, she came back with a bright smile. "Doctor, I can feel the difference. I don't feel heavy after eating anymore, and I can get up from my chair more easily." Your body is incredibly intelligent, but it needs a strong digestive foundation to use the nutrients you give it. Sometimes it's not that you lack protein, it's that you lack the ability to use it properly. So before you think about eating more, think about digesting better. A well-nourished body begins with a well-functioning gut. That's where strength truly starts. There's something I wish everyone over 60 could understand. When we talk about fighting muscle loss, we're not just talking about biceps or thighs. We're talking about your independence, your dignity, your freedom. I remember one afternoon a few years ago when a patient of mine, Evelyn, 73, sat across from me with tears in her eyes. She said, "Doctor, do you know what scares me the most? Not pain, not illness. What scares me is the day I can't walk into my own bathroom by myself." I paused for a moment and told her gently, "Then we will do everything we can to keep your legs strong. Because at this age, strength isn't about looking fit, it's about preserving your dignity." People often think strength is something only the young care about. But the truth is, after 60, 70, or 80, strength becomes the thing that keeps your life connected. To the stairs in your home, to the grocery store, to that trip you still want to take, to the ability to hold your grandchild without fear of falling. I've seen patients walk into my office slowly, unsteady, and just weeks after changing their breakfast and adding a few minutes of movement, they tell me, "Doctor, it feels like I got a little piece of my life back." This isn't about looking fit. It's about staying you. It's about protecting the parts of life that still bring you joy. Fighting sarcopenia is fighting for your independence, your ability to care for yourself, your ability to live without fear. And every single morning, with the choices you make, you are giving yourself that freedom. One of the most fascinating things I've learned in more than 30 years of practicing medicine is this: the human body responds powerfully to small changes, especially the ones you make in the morning. I still remember my patient Harold, 66 years old. During every morning, he ate the classic American breakfast: a bowl of cereal, a glass of orange juice, sometimes a bran muffin he believed was healthy. But he always felt tired mid-morning. His legs felt heavy, and he often had to stop halfway through his walk in the park to rest. When I suggested he change his breakfast, just a simple switch from cereal to 2 eggs, from orange juice to berries, from a muffin to Greek yogurt, he laughed and said, "That's it, doctor? Just that?" But a month later, he came back with his eyes lit up. He told me, "I don't know what happened, but I don't get sleepy in the mornings anymore. My legs feel lighter, and I can walk much farther." I share Harold's story because I want you to understand something. You don't have to change your whole life. You just need to change one morning. Morning is when your hormones are most responsive. It's when your muscles are most ready to absorb nutrients. It's when your metabolism decides whether today will be a day of strength or a day of struggle. The first meal of your day sets the track your body will run on. Put your body on the right track, and everything that follows, your energy, your appetite, your balance, your mood shifts in a better direction. And the beautiful part is, you get to choose that track every single morning. A high-protein breakfast isn't a diet. It's a message, a gentle promise you make to your body. Today, I choose strength. Doi jai laban, dishtieng an, pana 11, jung pongkak. Gyong baxi mai 60 van noi joy thong, ap, su sak, kichuyen, trietli, truyen kam. Huangjen ngoi shem lon toi. There's something I've learned after thousands of conversations with patients over 60. Your body doesn't change during moments of inspiration. It changes through the small choices you repeat every morning. I remember a patient named James, 75 years old. He once told me, "Doctor, I don't think I can get strong again. I've tried exercising, then I quit. I tried eating better, then I quit. I'm just not consistent." I looked at him and said softly, "James, you don't need to be consistent for the rest of your life. You only need to be consistent until breakfast tomorrow." Because after 60, health isn't about doing a big thing once. It's about doing a small thing again and again until your body starts to trust you. Muscles respond to repetition. Hormones respond to repetition. Your mind responds to repetition too. And here's the beautiful part. Once you've had 3 or 4 mornings where you nourish your body well, enough protein, a calm insulin response, hydration, a few minutes of movement, your body starts to remember. It begins to crave that lighter, steadier feeling. It begins to crave the version of you that can stand up without effort, walk without wobbling, wake up without feeling drained. I want you to imagine this. Every morning you give your body 25-30 grams of protein, some omega-3s, a glass of water before coffee, and a short walk. You are sending a message. I still want to be strong. I still want to live fully. I still want to be me. And your body, whether it's 60, 70, or 80, will hear that message. It will respond. It always does. 3 months later, James came back and told me something I'll never forget. "Doctor, I didn't become young again, but I found myself again." That's the power of habits. Quiet, uncomplicated, but capable of changing the rest of your life. Before we finish, I want you to take a quiet moment and ask yourself one simple question. How strong could this body become if I start taking care of it the right way tomorrow morning? In more than 30 years of practice, I've witnessed moments that move me deeply. A 70-year-old climbing the stairs without losing his breath. An 82-year-old woman standing up from her chair without using her hands. A 77-year-old grandfather telling me he finally felt strong enough to hold my granddaughter without fear of falling. When they changed their breakfast, added a few minutes of movement, drank water before coffee, cut back on sugar, they didn't just change their health, they changed their lives. And if you're watching this right now, I believe you want that for yourself too. I want you to remember this. No one is ever too old to get stronger. No one is ever too late to begin. And no day is ever too late to start. Your body is always listening to you, even when you think it's tired or worn out. Speak to it with small actions each morning. Nourish it with wiser choices, and you'll see it respond in the most beautiful ways. If what I've shared today brought you any value, I'd truly appreciate it if you hit like, leave a comment, or share this video with someone you care about, someone who might need to hear this message. And don't forget to subscribe so we can continue walking this journey together. One breakfast, one small habit, one strong step at a time. I'll see you in the next video. Wishing you a morning full of strength, starting tomorrow.